Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament. We are in the semifinals today, and we are here with Game 2 of Krithel versus Floyd. Joining me here in the commentary booth is McMonkey.
Hi there, Zeke. How's your afternoon going?
Doing well today.
Excellent. We got a great matchup. I'm excited. Gold sword bracket, semifinals. Let's get hype. Looks like our runners are getting ready now. We should be getting going any moment. So what do you expect today? We got an Ambrosia seed.
That we do.
We've seen a lot of these this tournament.
Didn't we do 3 weeks in a row?
We did. We did, in fact, get 3 weeks in a row of Ambrosia. So these guys know by now the tricks of Ambrosia. Getting the item on the boss, getting the boots hint at the beginning, probably hoping and praying we get a Hyrule Castle boots hint. But I'm excited to see what differences we see in the routing as our runners get underway here. And boots are in Thieves Town. That's a pretty good hint to get right away. Thieves Town is a very accessible dungeon, as long as it's not locked away in the big chest.
And Thieves Town does mean that we will see a slower early start than some seeds, but it's better than getting the hint that, say, Turtle Rock has your shoes.
Yeah, or Ganon's Tower, the worst. Death Mountain can be a tricky one if they're stuck in Mimic Cave. So we've got our standard opening here. Dropping in to see what the uncle's got for us up beside a sword.
We got bombs from the first check, though, so that's always a pleasant find.
Yeah, it'll really save them from having to farm those bombs on their way back, although they'll still probably check out the prize packs and try to top them off if they can. And speaking of topping off, they're going to top off their magic right away.
Green guards have the full magic refill. That's a pleasant find as well.
Yeah, although it does mean that they won't be getting any bombs from the guards and snakes prize pack. Bouncer at the door, keeping Floyd out for a moment there.
Now, we did find... I believe you asked our runners what sprites they were using before the race. I mean, obviously Krithel on our left is using Zero Suit Samus, but didn't you say Floyd had Will from...
Yes, it was Will from Illusion of Gaia.
Illusion of Gaia, okay. Not a game I'm familiar with.
Me neither, which is why I had to double check the notes there when you set me up for the question. But yeah, I've heard of the game. I can remember when it first came out, and it was on my list as a kid, which included pretty much every game that ever came out that I wanted to get. And I remember Illusion of Gaia being a very well-received game, and it must be if people have gone through the trouble to make a sprite to put into the game here.
This is true, because spriting is not easy.
It is not. I am currently trying to make one myself, and it is a long process. Meanwhile, Krithel making quick work of these guards. Got those sword spins down pretty smoothly.
It is not surprising that Krithel has some skill with the escape, because Krithel has done speedruns before, although I'm not sure how much the RMG category teaches as much.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the RMG category deals with escape at all, but he's clearly pretty well practiced on this.
I mean, most people who run the glitch categories probably have some backing in NMG as well, so... Some.
Yeah, and of course this is game 2. Floyd, the 2 seed, taking game 1 against the number 6 seed Krithel. So Krithel hoping to extend his lead here and take down the seed today so that he can force a game 3. Otherwise, Floyd will be on to the finals. Oro showing off more RMG knowledge than I have. I think the extent of my knowledge of RMG is that it is different from NMG.
That's mostly my experience as well. I knew it existed.
Yeah, the first few times I saw it, I assumed it was somebody mistyping. It turns out that's not the case. It's actually a different category. And that's about all I know.
So while our runners are quickly going through the escape, I will also give an early shout out to our tracker, Jere Dudecia, who is going to be keeping track of our inventories today.
Yeah, thank you to Jere. So we'll see if these runners take any time. The rats in the back of Escape here are on a different prize pack, so they could farm a couple rats. Probably just going to pick up some that are in the way here in the sewers, see what kind of prize pack they have. And if they can grab some quick bombs, they will. Otherwise, I don't think they're stressing about it. 3 bombs gets you into Blind's hut and the well and the chicken hut.
3 bombs gets you into the back of Escape, which is the more important thing here.
Yes, and the back of Escape. The most important reason to have the bombs here in a Ambrosia opening. So not a lot of value here in Escape. It's been a pretty boring Escape so far. I've noticed that they picked up the map at this point.
I think the map was the first check.
Okay, so we got three more items here then. Yeah, Krithel just flying through here. He's doing a great job finding that key rat right away. Can sometimes run away from you, but he tracked it right down. Very smooth escape.
And there's more bombs and our moon pearl in the back and our lamp. It's always fun to find a lamp in the back of Escape, because you know that in an open seed that would be a glove block, but where we're playing standard, that is expected right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I take back every bad word I said about this Escape. Getting that moon pearl early is nice because it means not having to do a lot of out of the way checks. They're going to be looking for dark world access now. They might choose to leave something like Agina behind if they don't have dark world access and they do have Aga access. Versus if you don't have the moon pearl, you really want to exhaust everything in the light world.
There is one downside to having the moon pearl already.
And what's that?
We don't get to see bunny sprites unless they get hit by a bunny beam.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to avoid all the bunny beams, so hopefully we'll get to see them at some point. That Turtle Rock one is the hardest one to dodge, I think, going onto the lava chest.
Just hearts on the tier, whatever we're on. I've lost count already.
Must be tier 2. They've both taken damage and killed more than 4 enemies, so that'll be a tier 2 pull. Yeah, neither of our runners checking Lumberjack. Interesting choice. You know, you're going to get boots relatively early if you got them in Thieves Town. It might be nice to know. And being only 1 item away from Aga access, I'd probably be tempted to go up and take a peek at the Lumberjack tree.
Possibly, but you're also missing core items to get to Village of Outcasts if you do have to get to the Dark World via Aghanim. So it's not too big a concern yet.
True. Yep.
On a side note, I do like the layout for Floyd's timer we've got today. And Krithel going to Blind's hut.
I always like to see different fonts, different layouts for the timers. Show some personality with your stream layouts. Team Red Boomerang rejoices.
A friend of mine would say they found the most important item in the game, the magic boomerang.
It is a pretty handy item.
That is the most disappointing back of Blind Hut I've seen in a while, though.
Yeah, just a little bit of money and a little bit of health and that red boomerang. That's about it.
Did I just hear a map check?
I didn't notice a map check, but I've been scanning back and forth, so it's possible one of them did it so quick that I missed it, but I'd be surprised.
Ooh, 300 rupees is a nice find when you have to do bottle merchant. And there's the Aghanim access.
Yeah, I mean, usually a sword upgrade is a nice sight, but maybe not under these circumstances. And the bottle merchant giving a investment tip that did not pay off.
He's learned lessons from King Zoro. That concerns me.
Yeah, I think they're in cahoots. All right, picked up a few more bombs. You might be tempted to buy some bombs with the money you have, but with Master Sword and 4 bombs now, that'll be good enough for the moment. They're going to move right on to the tavern.
Honestly, outside of the fact it gave us Aghanim access, this is a very solid village. That the only thing you really could have asked for is a bottle to get sick kid.
Yeah, I always like to see the bottle or the flute early. Avoid that second trip back if you can, but they can't always be jet seeds.
Garbage on the library.
Yeah, that seems like most seeds I play.
I wish I could get your... Oh! Krithel almost going for the... Did they both just go for the menu?
Yeah, they both did. They both sort of anticipated it being junk and then hit the select menu, very quickly canceling that out to go back in. This is one of those instances where the people who like to do Maze Race blind when there's not much in Cack Village would be nodding their heads saying, yep, should have just gone right in.
You mean like the fact I'm nodding my head right now?
I thought I could hear that. All right, so Krithel saving and quitting to the Sanctuary, interestingly.
I wonder if he's going to go do a hula hand before he goes South Shore so he can pick up King Zora.
Yep, that makes sense. With the Moon Pearl, you'll be able to do the fake flipper, and he'll guarantee he's got enough money for that. Meanwhile, Floyd heading down to South Shore.
It's not the worst play.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking of doing the fake flipper to do those water checks early, then you might as well make sure you have Zora money.
And there's our fire rod down at the Watergate.
Yep. So no searching for a fire source today. We've got both of them very early. So now Floyd is going to head on over to Mini Moldorm Cave while Krithel plays catch up now. Although Krithel looking like he's just taking a slightly different route. I thought he might be heading over to Agina.
With the current setup of items, I would have doubted Agina. Most people won't make that call at this point.
Yeah, for sure. It would be surprising.
That newly acquired fire rod coming in handy in Mini Moldorm Cave, though. And there's our tempered sword.
All right, so a lot of boss fights just got a whole lot easier. In fact, just about all of them. So we'll see what Floyd opts to do here. He is 140 rupees short of Zora money. It looks like since he's walking out, he's going to head on over to Ice Rod Cave.
5 rupees on the Hoarder Crab. So I'd like to point out, we're 13 minutes in, and we've got no Dark World access outside of Aghanim, but we have a tempered sword.
Yeah, which, it without having either hammer or glove, I wouldn't be surprised to see one of these two or both of them make the early decision to go fight Aga.
It's possible, although I'm not sure if they do Aga before Easter.
Yeah, and at this point, there's not much they can do even after Aga. They'd have pod available. They would have
Pyramid.
not even catfish available. Yeah, so just pyramid and pod. So until you get something that gives you more access,
Floyd
it probably
saves and
doesn't make
quits
sense.
from the Ice Rod Cave. You know how we just said that we might see an early Aghanim play?
Yeah, it looks like that's where Floyd's
That's
heading.
what it
Either
looks
that
like
or
we're
he
getting.
forgot he's in Ambrosia and is going to do the front of escape again.
I imagine this isn't planned, and I think we may be seeing an early Aghanim play.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly one way to get an advantage. If you make this early Aga play and you're right, you can really make up a lot of time.
I kind of like this aggressive play from Floyd, though.
Yeah, you're up 1-0. He's got nothing to lose here. If he can make a gamble and get an easy win, then he's on to the finals.
And it's not like combat is too difficult for getting through the tower.
Yeah, not with that tempered sword.
Krithel's going to go set up for a water walking or fake flipper. Probably fake flipper.
Yeah, no boots means that you can't set up the ice rod water walk.
I don't even know how to set it up to begin with, so.
It's remarkably easy. You dash next to a pit, heading out of the cave, and as long as you don't move left to right inside of a cave, then you've got a stored water walk, and then you just jump facing south off a ledge into water.
All right, Krithel making the waterfall ferry check. This will give us some ideas as to where our flippers are, if something important is in here. There isn't. But we are going to check what the fat fairy, or not the fat fairy, the skinny fairy here, the waterfall fairy. What am I trying to say? The bottle will be filled with a fairy.
Yeah, just a little cousin on loan for a while.
And like chat says, the aggressive play from Floyd here to get the do Aga and go to pod eastern area afterward works really well with the magic mirror.
Yeah, that very efficiently routes in all those eastern checks.
And it is looking more and more like this is going to be an Aga seed. It all actually comes down to Agina and the eastern area.
Yeah, we still got 5, maybe 6 items over in the eastern area, plus 1 on Agina.
5 items in the eastern area, 6 if they can get a bow, Agina, and the sick kid.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is Ambrosia, so one of those items is definitely on the boss. So you're right.
And Floyd moves into Aghanim. I'm going to guess 3.
Yeah, we got a very early guess of 6 from chat here. I'm going to go with a nice easy 2.
Well, there's 1. That's not a promising start, is it?
Nope. Meanwhile, Krithel picking up the Quake Medallion in Sahasrah's closet.
And Chad is right. Floyd will actually be checking the eastern area not too long after Krithel gets here. Between the Houlihan and the water and the fake flipper, there's not that much difference in time between when they'll arrive there.
Yeah, and unfortunately for
Krithel, that
Krithel,
Aghanim play.
put a lot of time into that, getting those Zora checks in, and it did not pay off in the slightest.
Six crystals in the light in the Dark World Day. Turtle Rock is a pendant. Red, and our red crystals are on Ice Palace and Pod.
Yeah, so Ice Rod not necessarily needed, although anytime there's a pendant TR, you almost assume there's going to be some progression in there. Krithel striking out in Eastern Palace so far. Just the big key in the map. Hasn't gotten any of the items yet. Luckily, he does have the lamp, so the 2 items that he can get to are in logic, unlike the Zora checks he just did.
I'd also like to point out, this is a pendant Eastern Palace. Because when you're playing in a non-shuffled map compass setting, the music is actually a cue for which prize is at the end of the dungeon. And because this is a light world theme, we're getting a pendant in here.
Yeah, and Krithel's not getting anything unless he gets lucky and gets the bow. I'm not sure that would have made much difference. It seems like Krithel is wanting to be thorough about confirming that this is an Agaseed before going in, and I think pendant or crystal, he was coming into Eastern Palace before going up the tower. Meanwhile, the absolute best character in the game, Kiki the Monkey, being escorted to Pod where he will do his job.
His job, you mean extorting you of money?
Yeah, hey, that's my cousin. Easy. It's a family business.
Oh, right,
He's
you're
just
a monkey.
make a living.
I apologize for the, I'll just call it racism at this point.
It's okay, misunderstandings happen.
And we strike out here in Eastern Palace.
Yeah, absolutely nothing there.
But Pod is bow-locked.
So, bow on Agina? I mean, there's got to be something on Agina at this point. It could be bow, it could be glove to get mountain access. We'll find out in a moment, because that's where Krithel's heading.
I did not expect that, did you?
No, that's a surprise. I was expecting Pod to have the progression there.
Watch this be our access to Death Mountain in the glove. This or Sick Kid.
Yeah, would have been a great time to know the Mimic clip. They could have tried the Fairy Revive to try to get to the bow-locked side of Pod.
Floyd couldn't. He has a B.
Oh, that's true. He hasn't gone and gotten the Fairy. Yeah, he has Mimic clip is his only option there on Pod, and I don't blame anyone for not knowing that one. That's a tricky one to pick up. Although Krithel has said that he's been practicing it.
Butter?
So Sick Kid apparently is the answer.
And combat is now at the absolute easiest it's ever been.
Yeah, and so this is unfortunate for Krithel. They have checked everything in the light world except for the one thing that must have progression here. So he could have gotten back some of that lost time if he had gone over to Sick Kid. It's not going to work out for him. He's going to go up the tower, go into Pod, and get the same bad news that Floyd got. I mean, I don't blame him. It's a long walk back to the village just for a Sick Kid check, and you're thinking, I'm 2 items from Dark World access. What's Sick Kid got that's going to really help me at this point?
What we here in the commentator's booth know is progression.
Yeah.
Because I keep for chats from the record, I'm keeping a combined tracker of everything we've seen, so I can conglomerate the 2 players' information into information for McMonkey and myself. McMonkey, can you guess how many things are in logic on my screen right now?
I'm guessing there's a single one.
And that one is the Sick Kid.
Yeah, so, just thinking out loud, there's, Hammer could be on Sick Kid. That would get some access to things. It could be a glove on Sick Kid, which would get mountain access. It could be a bow on Sick Kid, which would get you to Armos Knights and get a lot more of Pod. Or flute, for that matter, would get you the mountain access as well. So a handful of items it could be, but we know it's gotta be something valuable.
And we will be seeing it shortly on Floyd's screen, I think. Because I believe it's faster to go get Sick Kid than it is to go down to Agina. Although he would benefit from going to Agina and getting his butter sword.
Yeah, it would help a little bit. if he never gets that butter sword, I don't think it's going to cost him all that much time.
Are you a fan of the Sphere Zero butter sword?
That is certainly something. Yeah, and our tracker pointing out that if Sick Kid's got mountain access, that opens up a few more checks. It's possible that this Aga play isn't actually required.
And the mystery item is our hammer.
Okay,
So,
I take it back. Aga was required.
Congratulations to Vortex of Doom for correctly guessing the progression on Sick Kid.
Yep, he's at the top of the leaderboard for our Sick Kid guessing game.
We have a Sick Kid guessing game now?
Yeah, I just made it up. Vortex gets 100 points, and he is on top.
Now, if I were the runners, do you know where I would go next with that hammer?
Where's that?
I would route, as our Restreamer says in chat, I'd actually route Hype Cave.
Yeah, that makes sense. That hammer, after going through and beating Aga,
and hope that it gets access to Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, because then you get
I
your
want
boots.
my shoes. Funny enough, there's actually not that much open in logic still, though. So our progression has to be in this Southern Dark World.
Yeah, with Hammer being the piece of progression, that only opens up Hype Cave, Stumpy, Cave 45, and the Dig Game.
That's correct. There's our flute.
So Vortex of Doom loses half of his points for incorrectly guessing the mountain access. Sorry about that. Easy come, easy go.
Vortex did not guess what the... Oh, he just missed him. He didn't guess. I didn't see it up there.
Yeah, he said if it was mountain access, he was guessing glove. So sad. You hate to see it. Meanwhile, Floyd's going to head on over. He's going to check Stumpy Dig Game. I would imagine at that point he'll mirror over and activate his flute.
And then we'll probably be seeing the Death Mountain play, because with the flute, we have access to Light World East Death Mountain. Because we have a flute, a hammer, and a mirror.
Yeah, so there's a lot of checks up there. That is the clear next place to go after doing these checks, unless we see a glove, and then you might see a detour into Thieves Town first to get the boots.
That glove there?
That's the one I was talking about. Oh, and Vortex loses all the rest of his points. He's back to 0. So we'll go up and see Dig Game. I imagine we'll see a mirror. There's a nice route to mirror over, activate that flute, and head right into the Village of Outcasts.
There's one concerning check in logic now, because of how hard it is to get to at this point with the route. The glove opens up Catfish. Krithel is going to do one of the various ways of unlocking your camera.
Yeah, we'll see if he tries the Fairy Revive or if he's going to try the Mimic Clip he's been practicing.
So this could be exciting.
Yeah, if he finds something valuable here, you know, it could really change the landscape of this race. And looks like it's going to be the Mimic Clip that he's trying.
Where did we get mitts? Were mitts on Dig Game?
The mitts were on the Dig Game, which makes this
Rando?
routing even easier.
This seed, though.
Yeah, so on the left here, Krithel is trying to buffer some one-frame movements to get this red Mimic to get into the wall about 8 pixels. It's 8 or 9 pixels that he's got to get clipped into the wall, and then he will just dance off the screen. He's getting pretty close. And there he goes. Well done by Krithel. That is not an easy trick to do, and he did it pretty quickly.
And say farewell to Mimic Jackson, just moonwalking off the side of the map.
Yep, the Fairy Revive is another way to do that, but he seemed confident in that Mimic clip, and now he's still got a Fairy in a bottle. I think that Fairy Revive, it does rely on a little bit of RNG. You kind of got to get lucky that you get bounced in the right direction when you take that final hit to unlock the camera.
Unfortunately, unless we find something big, this still puts Krithel a pretty big time deficit.
Yeah, especially with Floyd now getting such easy access to Thieves Town. He's got the hammer. He's gonna be able to get the boots here. You know, even if the boots are on big chest or on blind, he's gonna have them and be able to just keep adding to his lead until Krithel can make the same play.
And with the key layout we've had so far, we know that the vanilla big key chest is a small key. I believe. Although I don't think we checked the basement, did we? Either way.
No, we did not get the basement check yet.
And there's the boots in, I believe that's the compass chest, but I could be wrong there.
Yeah, boots in Thieves Town. It's a nice place to find them, especially early in Thieves Town, because you can make great use, lots of nice long hallways to go sprinting through.
This seed is definitely being very linear on the opening. It very clearly told us this was an Agassiz super early.
Yeah, and which is really punishing Krithel with his out of logic checks.
And then it gave us a Sick Kid hammer, leading into both pairs of gloves on South Dark World.
Yeah, a little bit cruel giving that bottle after going through the village and then having progression on it. Meanwhile, Krithel getting nothing but an ether medallion out of pod. Definitely not worth the time he invested in those out of logic checks. He's going to go back to now his only available in logic check, grab his hammer, and then try to play catch up.
Floyd does take a death to those crickets in the attic. Those crickets hurt.
I did not catch. Did he manage to get the attic opened?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so he'll have to head all the way back up there. Feels bad with the boots. It won't be too long for him to get back up there. Yeah, really the only way for that out of logic pod play to pay off for Krithel is for Meyer to be ether locked and have the bow be in Meyer. The only accessible bow, because at that point then Floyd's not going to want to go back to pod unless he has the bow. He's not going to want to.
Bow cannot be in Meyer though. There will be a bow before Misery Meyer in that case.
How's that?
Because pod's bow locked right now.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, so it won't really save much of any time in that case. As soon as he gets the bow, Floyd will be incentivized to go finish out pod and get that crystal. It's a red crystal, so that's even more reason to prioritize it early.
Have we had a Light World map check yet?
I haven't seen one, but I'm guessing that they must have done that at some point before, and then we didn't notice, because they're moving around awful confidently.
So, if anyone in chat knows which of the remaining 2 dungeons in the Light World are, is our other crystal? Please let us know.
So now Krithel starting out on the route that's going to take him by Hype Cave, Stumpy, Dig Game, and get him his both sets of gloves.
Again, this seed opened very linear, and then it threw us 2 gloves. 2 gloves, our boots, and our flute in extremely quick succession.
Yeah, very fast opening, and now pretty much the whole world is available to them.
On the plus side for Krithel, when they do find a bow, all they have to do for Pod is go in and kill Helmasaur. Floyd may still be looking for items at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very clean blind fight so far, even with the hit. I don't like the blind fight, but I'm also terrible at Gleok style fights, and that's what this is.
Yeah, and Floyd taking down blind, getting his $20 and his first crystal.
And the second crystal honestly won't be too far behind.
Yeah, with that fire rod and a tempered sword, the moth is going to go down in flames pretty quickly. Seeds like this are pretty easy to route if you follow the logic, and that's exactly what Floyd is doing.
There's a mushroom. That's an easy turn in with that flute. What would your reaction be to getting your mitts and your gloves and your mitts in successive checks?
Honestly, it would be some furious thinking about, okay, what are the next steps and what are the the next items I'm looking for. Looking at the crystal list, hookshot would be nice to make access to East Death Mountain a little easier. You need the flippers in order to get into Swamp Palace along with that hookshot. So at this point, once you got all that access and mobility, then it starts to be counting down the items for go mode.
For those curious, I am pretty sure we have 2 items from go mode.
I think it's 3. We need flippers, hookshot, and bow.
Flippers. I always 4.
Yeah,
then. I forgot about flippers, but you're right. There's
Cane of Samaria.
Red cane.
Yeah. Which they're hoping they find earlier, so that they can use it for Ice Palace as well.
I'd rather find it later. The later the red cane is, the less likely we have to go into Turtle Rock.
So interesting choice here from Floyd. Was following the logic pretty clearly, deciding to do the rest of the Smith chain here rather than going right for the Crystal Dungeon.
It means we get out of the way. And with the flute, it is not a very long check at all. And just like that, we're back in the village, ready to check the next. Because he came out, he put his warp portal, and now he can just go back north and go to Skullwoods.
Yeah, a pretty quick check, and he's got all of Smith chain off the list.
I might have routed Mushroom in at that point myself, but
yeah, if you're already fluting places, although if you're going to go up to Skullwoods next anyway, there's not really anything you're going to get at the Mushroom that's going to make that easier.
Only bombs on the bumper ledge, but we're going to see a blind check of Lumberjack. Something I've not done before. I almost always route north to Lumberjack anyways, because I like to hit that second poultry and get an early check on my crabs. And there is our shield.
Absolutely worth the trip up Agate Tower. I just feel naked without a shield. And our Restreamer, Oro, the real MVP here, filling in our Light World information. Tower of Hera, the only crystal in the Light World. Desert Palace being the green pendant.
Excellent. Thank you to Oro. Ideally, I would like, if I were running this, I would ideally want Tower of Hera to be my last dungeon in that case. Almost
yeah,
never
that would be
happens,
perfect.
It almost never happens.
Yeah, despite only having 2 items, it's so easily accessible that I think that it makes it more likely to have progression. Anything that's earlier in the logic chain, lower sphere number, makes it more likely to have some kind of progression.
One of the reasons I will always go to Thieves' Town, no matter what the prize is at the end.
So Floyd getting the graveyard ledge. King's Tomb checks in here before Skullwoods, which is a bit odd. I mean, the Skullwoods play would have sent him right into those, and he wouldn't have to double back. But maybe he's not planning on doing Skullwoods next.
Actually, I like this route because it means that when you're done with Skullwoods, you could save and quit and start from the Pyramid to go do Catfish and then route to the mountain if you so chose.
Yeah, I could see that. Although routing from Skullwoods is a little bit long getting from the back of Skullwoods. Although with the Fire Rod, you're going to do the back first anyway. So you're going to go on this route. You're going to get all the way to King's Tomb, and then
Although he is skipping Skullwoods.
pop into your portal and go over to
Skullwoods
Catfish.
only has one item that isn't on Mothula. So it kind of makes sense to do the mountain now.
I'm not so sure. I mean, you're right there, and you've got everything you need to fully clear a crystal dungeon. But he's going up the mountain. The lure of items up there is strong. He's going to save the old man and see what we got on the rest of the mountain.
Gary only giving him 10 arrows to play with.
You'll poke your eye out. Meanwhile, Krithel, finishing with his Hype Cave, Dig Game, Smith Chain routing. He's now finishing up Thieves' Town. He's going to go up and get a blind fight.
Just money in Spectral Rock Cave for Floyd, so we will not be retrieving that because it's a pretty good time sink, even though it's a lot of money. But we're kind of done with money, aren't we?
Yeah, once you've opened pod and paid the big fish and paid the bottle merchant, there's not really a whole lot else you need it for. And this level, these gold sword bracket guys, they're not going to be needing to save up money for a lot of safeties.
Especially with Golden Sword. And here's Floyd, although Floyd has a Tempered Sword. But here's Tower of Hera.
Yep, no hook shot yet for doing a Herapod if necessary.
They have Fire Source, so it won't be necessary. And there's Big Key.
I say when I say necessary, I mean to avoid the coffee break room at all costs. Not necessary per se, but I like to use Herapod whenever I can to avoid that. Phil picks up his first crystal, taken down blind. Nicely done.
There's our small key.
Yep, not a good sign.
If I were running this seed myself, I would probably go for a bomb jump, but I wouldn't be racing it.
Yeah, especially with the boots. There's a lot of forgiveness there with the bomb jump. You don't have to be on the last pixel. You can place the bomb,
Well,
bonk when it starts flashing.
The concern is gone. The compass is in the basement.
And there it will stay. This ought to be a pretty quick Moldorm fight if he cooperates and doesn't bounce Floyd off a couple of times. Tempered Sword, we just need a spin and a slash.
About that cooperating thing. He didn't want to.
He was a little ornery, but gave up in the end. And gave up the red cane. So good news, bad news. We got the red cane. You've got well, as soon as you get flippers, you'll get logical Ice Palace access. And in truth, these guys probably are fine with a fake flipper. So he could get into Ice Palace at this point. He could get to Misery Mire. If he has access, he could full clear Misery Mire. But it's also possible that he'll have Turtle Rock access when he goes over and checks this East Death Mountain.
Only a piece of art on our good friend the Floating Island today.
Yeah, and a Rage Bonk to release the fairy.
Dead rocks are evil. Krithel going into Skull Woods to go fight our good friend Mothula. Mothula himself is not the boss, in my opinion.
No, certainly not. Yeah.
No, the boss is the spike blocks and conveyor belts. Whoever decided to put those there is an absolute evil person.
An evil genius, very good at their job. They should be given a raise. So we'll see what those two items are on Skull Woods and see if Floyd's going to be punished at all for leaving them behind.
You know what's still my favorite piece of trivia that involves Mothula?
What's that?
Golden Sword not actually being able to damage Mothula in vanilla.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And as a programmer, I can really appreciate the efficiency of their solution. But meanwhile, Krithel taking a death.
I cannot tell if that was ironic or not.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they had a problem to solve. You know,
there's our blue cane
with their damage classes, and you know, I'm sure they got to testing Mothula and had a forehead slapping moment. And
Paradox Cave had all of our invincibility items.
And meanwhile, Mothula had just given a refund on the fairy in a bottle.
Nice bomb jump over to the Paradox Pit. Easy enough. Pretty easy bomb jump. Mm-hmm.
Yep, save him a little bit of time. He's going to go on over, open that Turtle Rock portal, and see whether see what medallion it takes to open it up.
And also check Soup Bunny Cave over here.
And that gold sword is fantastic for this room. Those Gibdos go down in just 2 swipes.
And we have Quake! So,
who didn't see that coming?
Turtle Rock. How do you feel about Pendant Turtle Rock?
Well, it's 5 items there, and you've got access to it. It's hard to pass on it.
As it stands right now, it's 4 items. Plus Minute Cave.
This is still Ambrosia, I've just been told.
That we don't have an Ice Rod. And I certainly hope for these runners' sakes, this does not devolve into a true Ice Rod hunt to get progression off of Pendant Trinax.
Yeah, that would feel really bad. Instead, we'll get Ice Palace access. Meanwhile, Krithel is going to do the bomb jump here to get at the
He's going
big
to bonk.
chest.
Floyd's going to bonk.
Yep, you can get one chest here with a bonk.
I've gotten hookshot in this chest before.
Yeah, and it is in logic, so it makes sense to check it on your way by. And nothing in Skull Woods, nothing of value anyway. I think there's still one more item to go, otherwise he wouldn't be dropping in.
And Floyd is going to Spike Cave, which, to be fair, we just got all of our invincibility items over at Paradox.
Yeah, so opting out on the TR play. Can't say I blame him. I mean, it's a pendant, it's a big time investment, but it's one of those things you just don't want to have to be put to that decision of passing up 4 items versus putting in the minutes it'll take to finish Turtle Rock.
Brian's Cane, a very fantastic item for the sake of survival. Also fun for lacking out the game if you try to use it during the Vitreous fight.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun to play in slideshow mode.
My favorite way to fight Vitreous is with Cane of Burna on, a Tempered Sword, and Pegasus Shoes. Floyd's turning into Mushroom. I actually wouldn't quite yet, myself.
Well, again, if he's fluting to somewhere, then...
And here's why.
Although he could have saved and quit to be able to preserve it. Yeah, I get what you're coming at now, but you go ahead and explain it anyway.
Reset that's doing what I'm saying. That's saving Mushroom for the exact reason. For those who aren't following this completely non-committal discussion, if you have your Mushroom and the King of Samaria, you can use it to fake powder and trick the game to thinking you have magic powder. And therefore you can get the magic bat out of logic with a Mushroom.
Yeah, not super likely to get you anything of value, especially if it's auto logic. But when it pays off and you can route it in, man, does it pay off!
I love how chat supports me on the calling out the magic hick bat there.
Yeah, the problem for Floyd is that Magic Bat's the only thing that he's left behind in that Smith area, so there's not really a whole lot of reason for him ever to get back to that area unless he really starts running out of checks. He'll have to make a special trip to do that fake powder. And we picked up the bow on Death Mountain, so Floyd is heading over to Pod.
He'll get his ether.
The seed really laying things out for you in order here. Turtle Rock at the moment seems to be bait.
Don't worry, we'll find a hookshot in there later.
Yeah, hookshot and whatever opens Misery Mire are the only potential items that we have left that we don't know about.
Where's our shovel when you want it?
Well, the shovel's obviously on Trinex, which will then lead them to the hookshot.
Access. I did not see what that medallion was.
Yeah, it was too quick for me. I think it might have been Bombos, but it was awful quick. Yeah, chat confirming Bombos for Mire access.
So we are 2 items from go mode.
Yeah, and the nice thing for these guys is they can clear out all the rest of the crystals aside from Misery Mire and Swamp Palace at this point, looking for those go mode items.
That menu does not look fun to navigate.
No, yeah, when you're missing big blocks of items in the middle, it can be a real brain teaser. Yeah, we know that Pod is a big bust, aside from the one mystery item remaining. Obviously, Floyd doesn't know that yet, so he'll finish clearing all this out, and then presumably head right to the boss. An option for him, they do have the Armos Knights still available, and there's not going to be a better time to pop in and finish those off. Probably going to pass on it, given how many crystals they have accessible to them, and only needing, from their perspective, 1, maybe 2 items from go mode. But this would be the most efficient time to go in and take care of those Armos Knights and get that final item.
The awful Twitch viewer in me sees the fact that we're missing Hookshot and Bombos for go mode. And it says pedestal.
Yeah, it could very well be. We've got everything else we need aside from the ice rod, so if we see that ice rod, then we can really start getting our pedestal hopes up. Which would be just perfect for this seed to give so much progression early, lay things out in order, making them think they're going to jet through this seed, and then drop a pedestal required item on them.
Did you say an Agaped seed?
I did indeed. That is potentially what we have here.
I don't want it.
No, yeah, I'd like to eat dinner sometime. But man, it'd be great though. Meanwhile, Krithel going up and finishing up Tower of Hera. He's going to go over to East Death Mountain, get his bow, probably check Dark Death Mountain, get his flippers, and then we'll see if they take the TR bait, while Floyd is heading back to fight the Helmosaur.
We don't even know if it's TR. TR is actually bait, or if we actually need to go in there yet.
Well, it's certainly bait that it's available to them right now. Whether it's bait that leads to anything of value is what remains to be seen.
So while Floyd moves to Helmosaur and Krithel follows Floyd's footsteps to do Death Mountain, please follow the runners. They've put in a lot of time to get this good at the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and making it to the semifinals of the Gold Sword bracket here is no small feat. They've had to win a lot of matchups.
Oh yeah, that's where the Red Cane was. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I'm sure these guys will continue to put in work. The mentor tournament is really just a jumping off point for a lot of the people in it. Looking to branch out into some of the other tournaments available in the community. Good things ahead for all these guys, I think.
So, you are a runner. How much work did you put in?
I'm still putting in work. Yeah, I mean, I've tried to get some kind of practice in every day. I've got lists of different tricks and segments that I want to work on. Most recently, Meyer 2 has been getting some attention. I've been doing some MMG runs. So, yeah, I mean, trying to keep at it every day and improve.
Floyd brings down Helmosaur King, who gives us $20. Pod was a bust outside of being a red crystal.
And the great thing about this tournament is the mentors that have volunteered their time, they are just a wealth of knowledge. These guys certainly have benefited, as have all of the runners in the tournament, from getting access to such friendly and knowledgeable people. And they continue to give advice. The Discord channel, which I'm sure we can get linked in the chat here, it's free to anybody to join and has a bunch of really knowledgeable, really friendly people. If you want to learn more about how to run this game, it's a very good place to start out.
I just dropped the links in for him, so.
Well, thank you.
Floyd's going into Ice Palace.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
More than, the fact it's Ice Palace and we all hate Ice Palace.
I used to hate Ice Palace. As long as I've got Cane of Samaria now, I really don't mind. It's such a quick dungeon when you've got that Cane of Samaria that it's hard to be mad at it.
Speaking of Ice Palace and Cane of Samaria, I learned a valuable lesson last night playing Cross Keys.
And what's that?
Ice Palace with palette shuffle on sucks.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, palette shuffle seems to be living dangerously. There's sometimes where it's quite pleasant, and other times you get a palette where it's hard to see your shadow lineups. I'm guessing that's what you ran into.
Ice Palace colors were about the same colors as the edge of my Rydia spread I use. And I use a specific line in Rydia's hairline to line up my Ice Palace bomb jump.
Yeah. So that will certainly mess with it. And that's the danger of doing a palette swap. I would love to be able to see a feature added to choose your own palette, to be able to build your own palette for seeds. That would be a pretty nifty feature.
Floyd using one of probably my favorite glitches in this game right now.
Yep, trying to buffer that one frame of movement to the left, and after putting down the Samaria block, and he gets through before I could even explain how the trick works.
But it's a fun trick. It is a fun one to do. Abusing the door state is really fun.
It is, especially when you can do it that smoothly and just waltz on through.
Mine does not look that smooth. It involves a lot of menus. Krithel gets his flippers out of Super Bunny Cave. Ice Palace hasn't had much yet.
No, nothing of note. Krithel is going to mirror here and head elsewhere, not doing Spike Cave and not doing Turtle Rock.
I don't blame him. Now, the question is, if you were in...
It appears we spoke too soon.
I think he just decided to go to Spike Cave.
Yeah, perhaps thinking through what he was going to do after mirroring,
to be fair, Spike Cave is an absolutely awful check to go get at any time, even when it's nice to route. Because Spike Cave pretty much demands itself to be the last check you make in the route. Because, let's be honest, who wants to go both ways in Spike Cave?
Yeah, it's a little bit more tolerable if you've got the hook shot, so you can get the hook speed and dash your way back to the beginning. But, yeah, even there, you're going to give up most of your health at that point. Take time
and
to pick
magic.
the pots.
You will run out of magic if you go both ways.
The nice thing about routing in Spike Cave here, though, for both of these runners, is the save and quit then precedes the mushroom turn-in, which allows you to do that hard reset pretty easily. Otherwise, with Mirror and
Krithel is going straight to Ice Palace, though.
Well, we know this is a good play. There's nothing on the mushroom. He can get the crystal. He'll be able to make up some ground on Floyd anyway.
And Krithel has a single crystal in lead of Floyd, because Krithel did Skullwoods.
Yeah, I'm still curious about why Floyd chose to skip Skullwoods when he did.
Item density. Cold Stare. He just wants a hug. And his hugs are kind of lethal at the moment.
They sure are.
Because we have not found any armor.
No, yeah, so those puffs are going to hurt. But Floyd using those spins pretty nicely.
4 heart hugs from Cold Stare.
And just like Blind, Only $20 for his trouble.
And Helmosaur. However, that is Pyramid Fairy access.
Yeah, which could be why both of these guys went so quickly to Ice Palace once they had access.
It would also be why Floyd went so quickly to Pod as well. That and, 5 checks. Floyd's going to go check our good friend the Hobo.
Yeah, he has not done any of the flipper checks yet, so he'll do Hobo. We'll see if he decides to flute from there or go down and do the rest of the flipper checks. Maybe thinking to route Pyramid Fairy into Catfish and Zora.
I would on that one. There's our shovel.
So only one fetch quest remaining to be given out.
Magic powder?
That's the one, although you could kind of count the tablets as fetch quests. Krithel with a very interesting setup for that bomb jump, going diagonally across the pit, allowing him to stay right on the edge of the pit and set himself up on the right pixel for that bomb jump.
There are some interesting setups for that, let's be honest.
Yeah, it seems to be one of the more flexible bomb jumps.
Floyd is checking the mire area, and he could go into desert from here if he so chose. Though he'd have to get one. There's only one item that isn't in the back.
Yeah, and with it being green pendant, if you're going to go into desert, you're going to do the full clear, because Lambo's got an item plus the green pendant, which gets you another item.
But we're running out of places that aren't Pyramid Fairy and that lineup. Because again, Floyd still has, well, both runners have to go to Catfish, and Floyd still has to do Zora area. Although we know Zora area is a dud.
Yeah, and surprising to me that Floyd's choosing to do the pendant dungeon here as opposed to pressing the advantage of those red crystals he just picked up.
The one thing I see is he might be trying to gather his pendants in case he needs to do a ped pull. But that's a very risky strategy to do.
Yeah, that would be pretty aggressive at this point.
Although, again, the seed's been rude. There's our item that isn't a big key. A red shield. Oh, he hasn't done a Gina.
True, and those Sphere 1 checks can really weigh on you. I think for some people, they sort of stick out like a sore thumb when you're looking at your tracker that, oh boy, if there's something important there, then, my opponent could have gotten it very, very early. So, yeah, I mean, I can understand wanting to get that out of the way.
I know what's on Agina, if I were in Floyd's shoes, I'd actually be hoping this was Bombos right now.
That would be ideal, but alas, he'll have to settle for some butter.
Krithel restocking on some potions.
Not a bad idea.
He's got a large
Interestingly,
pile of
not
spare
turning
money.
in the mushroom, which I don't think he's done the turn in and a hard reset yet.
Again, he might be holding on to it in case Magic Bat has something. And Krithel's going to go finish off his pod and maybe Easter. And Floyd, at this point, I believe, has to go to visit the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, Pyramid Fairy, Armos Knights, and that green pendant. Options are getting kind of thin for him.
To the person in chat who wanted Discord linked, I have just linked it one more time for you.
So we'll get to make use of our Aga portal here with the big bomb, saving us a little bit of a detour.
That is the one benefit of a Pyramid Fairy in an Aga Seed. And Krithell's going to go visit the Helmassar King.
Yeah, he's going to pick up his $20 and red crystal.
Pyramid Fairy holding $40. You know?
Yeah. Speaking of $20,
you know, Catfish is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, particularly with those extra checks available to Floyd that we know are useless, but you know he has.
Although I will be honest, I want to see an ice rod on him.
That would certainly start to raise some alarm bells.
But we're getting hit with that complete and utter lack of progression problem again. I think my favorite item to throw at Catfish is the sign.
That is a good one, a little bit of a detour to get there.
There's some of our armor.
And there goes Helmassor's armor.
So the Catfish stole from Helmassor?
Apparently, that timing was too auspicious to be anything else.
And yes, Oro, that is correct. We're down to pendant dungeon diving.
Yeah, we'll see if Krithel decides to clean up that Catfish check, the Pyramid Fairy, or whether he decides to start diving in these pendant dungeons. And that looks like our answer right there, because if he was thinking pendants, he probably would have gone in and finished up Eastern.
It looks like Krithel is going straight to our good friend the Magic Bat.
Yeah, this is staying on brand with his autologic checks earlier. You know, if you're going to make those plays, you might as well be consistent with it.
So how this glitch works is you run yourself out of magic, you use Decane of Samaria in front of what you're trying to use, and while you're in the middle of using Decane of Samaria, you menu to the magic item you want to use, usually the mushroom, because it shares the same slot as our good friend the magic powder. And keeping on brand with this seed, it was $20.
Yeah, disappointing. You know, none of the autologic stuff working out for Krithel.
So the next, we say there's only pendant dungeon dives, but there is also the front of Swamp Palace. No one wants this to be the progression.
No, yeah, and it's similar to that decision about whether you go into the pendant Turtle Rock. You don't want to have to be put to this decision of checking Swamp Palace for progression without the hook shot. It's not a fun spot to be in, but you know, maybe it's a better. It's obviously looking like a better option to Floyd right now than going into the Pendant Dungeons. And he still hasn't done Skull Woods, too, which really is confounding to me that he would decide to go into Swamp Palace without the hookshot before going into Skull Woods and getting those 2 items. Krithel going to pick up Gary's lunchbox. Yeah, that's one thinking too, Oro. Either he's forgotten about Skull Woods or he mismarked it as a pendant. Not really sure.
Krithel getting the purple chest out of the way. And might also follow into... Where would you go if you were Krithel here?
You know, at this point, he's got a bunch of scattered checks remaining. It's a tough choice.
Do you go north to Pyramid Ferry and Catfish, or do you go south to Hookless Swamp Palace?
Yeah, I think I'd go Pyramid Ferry first.
Just in case you get the hookshot on it.
Exactly.
So what does Krithel do? The exact opposite of what we just said. Both runners are starting to confuse me in different ways.
Yeah, but you know, that's what makes running this game fun.
That's what makes commentary fun, is you think one thing makes sense, and the runners do something completely backwards.
Yeah, and part of that is just different routing styles, decision-making styles, and part of that is really just the pressure of being in a race can really warp the way you're viewing the options available to you. So Swamp turning out to be a bust so far.
I'd like to point out that if we find progression here, Krithel actually catches up.
Yeah, not having done the Desert Palace dive, saves a little bit of time there.
If we find Bombos and Hookshot here, or even if we just find Bombos here, we've got progression figured out.
Yeah, Bombos, Hookshot, even an Ice Rod would give some amount of progression.
Okay, well, you don't want Ice Rod to be the progression. Let's be honest.
And yet, there it is.
Oh boy.
So one last hope here for Swamp Palace to give something that isn't terrible progression.
Will it redeem itself? Let's be honest, this is randomizer. No, it won't. Okay, one more last chance for it to do so.
Yeah.
If this turns into a vanilla big key into a vanilla hookshot, this is terrible.
Well, not necessarily terrible for these guys because they're making the play into Swamp Palace. So, they would be thrilled to see that.
Floyd and Krithel high five on their way past, of course. Common courtesy if you happen to see the other runner as you're going past.
Yeah, a little more awkward there with Floyd on the top of the water and Krithel at the bottom. And who was talking about commentator's curse? We get a couple of rage smashes from Floyd.
So we just got the double header here on the commentator's curse.
So very interesting. We'll get to see all the rest of the items in Swamp Palace. We've got a couple left in the back here.
The Swamp Palace is evil. We are one item from Go Mode, folks.
Yeah, just looking for that Bombos medallion.
And now Floyd's going to do what we call... I prefer calling it Holy Diver, but that's because I like Dio. So...
I like it.
commonly called diver down. You use the Cane of Samaria or a bomb to force yourself in the door state through the rail and jump on the water.
Yeah, and what you're actually doing is jumping past the hitbox that the game determines when you enter the water. So there's a set of pixels right along the edge of the water that if your sprite hits, then the game will transition you into swimming. But if you can jump past them, then the game just lets you walk on through.
And I assume that with this exact screen, or with this exact section, clipping into the rail using the bomb or the Cane of Samaria pushes you past that point, so you can just jump off onto the dry land under the water and.
Right. So yeah. So if you're jumping off of the intended area, you're a couple pixels further down on the screen in that case. But when you clip into the rail, you get a couple pixels further up on the screen, which is enough so that when you hop off, you make it past the hitbox for the water.
Vanilla hookshot, everybody. Vanilla big key and vanilla hookshot.
Yeah, and so the bad news here is we're one item away from go mode with that hookshot, but we also picked up the ice rod there, and there's not a whole lot of other places left to check for that bombless medallion.
I would go hookshot cave first.
And if you're going hookshot cave, then you might as well go into TR next.
But I would do hookshot cave first.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be lunacy to go in all the way through Turtle Rock before doing hookshot cave.
If you made that gamble and won, go play the lottery.
So Floyd may be realizing now that they've got Skullwoods left to do.
They might be looking for that bombos first.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So while we're at the 120 mark here and our runners are retracing each other's steps, I'm going to just give a quick shout out to our hosts here, the Go Mode podcast. They put out a bi-weekly podcast on going into extremely fine detail about this game, running randomizer, everything you could want to know about a specific topic and news of the day. It's a great listen. I recommend.
They're very knowledgeable about this subject.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
and fun to listen to. They have a great camaraderie.
Hosts, Tim, Perfendorfen, and Dante.
Dante, yeah.
Yeah, they're very knowledgeable, and they also have tendency to get very knowledgeable special guests. I distinctly remember the commentary episode they did, like episode 28, getting Adirondack Rick in here for commentary, and so for commentary discussion. So,
yeah, it's a great listen.
If you want to get into commentary, I highly recommend that episode of the podcast.
So Krithel dashing out of Swamp Palace. Looks like they're going to go up and do the Pyramid Fairy play.
Not too surprising. You're already here, might as well do it while you're here.
Floyd was about to do a spin there on Mothula and perhaps realized his mistake and switched to Gold Sword slashes instead.
Does the spin still do no damage?
That's right, yeah. For randomizer, they've fixed the bug where Gold Sword does no damage, but only for slashes. A spin on a Gold Sword will still do no damage. I'm not sure what Krithel's doing there, taking the red bomb into the water. Maybe checking the Lake Hylia item. Oh, and an unfortunate bomb dupe miss by Krithel. It's a trick with some relatively tight timing. You've got to be able to dash up and get to the screen transition and transition the screen right as the timer hits 0, and he just missed the window. He's got to go back and rebuy the bomb and head all the way back up to the pyramid, perhaps not remembering that he's got the Aga portal, going all the way around.
Does getting hit by the enemy give you the state to... That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, anything that knocks you away from the bomb will allow you to start a dash.
Successful dupe.
Yeah, getting it on the second try. Yeah, so if you get hit by an enemy, or if you can hook shot and then start your dash before the bomb can catch back up with you, then you can get a dash off, and then the bomb will happily follow you. Whereas normally the dash button will start the countdown for the bomb to explode. So Floyd finishing up Skullwoods. See where he heads next. Taking out the flute.
Thanks to chat for clarifying how the sword works for this. Krithel is also checking Hobo to get the shovel.
Yeah, and we might see him run immediately to check it out.
That dead rock did not want Floyd to go anywhere.
They never do.
Alright, hear me out, chat. I have an idea for a new boss enemy. It's a giant dead rock.
So how do you defeat it? What do you need to do to damage it?
I believe you can actually kill dead rocks with Quake, so you need Quake.
So you just stun them with Quake and then get some slashes in.
Yeah.
Maybe the boss recovers from the Quake.
Yeah.
I like it.
And Floyd going up to the Turtle Rock area. Probably going to Hookshot Cave. So let's see if Hookshot Cave has our winning items.
Yeah, meanwhile, Krithel, he did make up some time catching up to Floyd in Swamp Palace, getting that hook shot, but giving it all back up here, going and making all those same checks that Floyd has already made.
There's our red mail. As Krithel gets blue mail. So Floyd threw his blue mail away when he got the red mail, and Catfish picked it up and gave it to Krithel.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Krithel's going to Desert Palace.
Which still may be the answer, right? I mean, we didn't see Landmolus or the Green Pendant.
Green Pendant, correct. However, Floyd is in Turtle Rock, so if it's in here...
the numbers point to Turtle Rock.
Before. I've had more go modes in that exact chest that Floyd just did more times than I can count.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's going to be 5 items here in Turtle Rock. Krithel's going to have, if he finishes Desert Palace, 3 items available to him. So a little bit higher chance that Floyd's got the answer here, but you never know. The answer could still be Armos Knights for all we know, or Ped.
We all know one thing about this game. Rando's gonna rando.
Nice job by Floyd avoiding those crystal rollers. Mostly.
Commentator's curse. You say that and he immediately gets hit by both of them.
Sorry, I should correct. Floyd's going to have 6 items available to him when you add in Mimic Cave.
That is true. I forgot about Mimic Cave. Krithel is going to see what's on Landmolus for us.
Yeah, and the routing might make sense for him to clean up Eastern Palace Maybe thinking to put off Turtle Rock at all costs.
That is a good time to do Eastern Palace while you're over there getting Green Pendant.
Oh, scary moment there for Floyd. He's dodging those chain
you take
chomps.
one more hit from those chain chomps before you win down. And we do not have powder, so he has to be very careful in this upcoming Pokey Room.
Yeah, and perhaps hearing you, he takes out his red potion and takes care of that problem right quick.
Guys, stop listening in. That's a joke, of course. They are not listening into our race. This is entirely their decisions. There's bombs. That's close.
Horseshoes and hand grenades.
There's the book.
Oh boy! Well, the good news is once Turtle Rock is finished, they'll have quick access to that ether tablet. It could be a vanilla Bombos.
We've said vanilla. Is it your turn to call the vanilla items?
Yeah, it must be. You called the vanilla hookshot.
And the Elder will give us a heart container. He is so... He loves you for finding his family heirloom.
Yeah, and Krithel opting to skip the one item in Eastern Palace, instead going to the much more item-dense Hookshot Cave Turtle Rock.
And Floyd going to check the big chest.
Yeah, slightly faster to check the big chest here before going to Mimic Cave. Only one item from Go Mode. I think that's the right play. No, Vanilla Bombos would be on Bombos tablet, which the book gave access to.
And of course, that would be all the way down by Swamp Palace if it was.
Yeah, that, in other words, gross.
There's our bug net.
So we've got Crystal Roller Room and Laser Bridge left on this TR play.
It's always Laser Bridge. We all know that. Honestly, when you see Pendant TR, you know something's on Laser Bridge.
Yeah. 60% of the time, it's Laser Bridge every time.
That doesn't make sense. Isn't that how that quote goes?
Yeah.
Okay, I've actually not seen that movie, so... My biggest complaint with the Zero Suit Samus sprite is the green hair on Red Bale.
Yeah, the palette doesn't seem quite as fitting, but it's still a nice looking sprite.
Yeah, it's a great sprite. One of my favorites. Actually, it was my go-to one before I learned all my pixels on Rydia. So... And actually, I will still use Zero Suit Samus over anything else if I'm playing combo Rando.
And that makes a lot of sense. Oh, I absolutely played Metroid 1. I played Metroid 1 the year it came out. And yeah, that would be fitting with the Metroid 1 coloring, although the styling is significantly different. We were talking about the new Samus sprite with that coloring. Now we're talking.
I have not played Metroid 1, I'll admit.
I feel like a lot of the oldest games, they're tough to go back to if you didn't play them as a kid. Games have just learned so much over the years that things can be a bit frustrating in the older games.
Now, here's a little known fact about this upcoming fight. The reason they call him Trinex is because he has 3 necks.
That seems to check out.
Granted, if I'm... there are some streams, like some people doing ladder will put up no hints. I will almost always tell them that Trinex is called Trinex because he has 4 necks. Just to see if I can make them laugh and have a happy moment in their day.
And everybody needs a few of those.
Especially with the world in its current state, but we'll stop there.
And so will Trinex. Going down pretty easy to that Buttersword fight, and only half magic, so nothing but a fetch quest book.
It's getting better and better, isn't it?
Yeah, so let's take the opportunity to give out the list of places where progression could be at this point, because it's a pretty short list, right? We've got Ether Tablet, which is where Floyd's heading to.
Bombos, Head, Armos.
That is the list. So we're up to 25% chance of PED here. But there it is on the Ether Tablet. Floyd's in go mode, 135.
Floyd is in go mode. Going into Misery Mire go mode. That means one thing. We're going to find that big key somewhere deep in the dungeon, not conveniently placed. That's kind of a rule.
Yeah. Seems to be the way it goes. And Krithel just a couple minutes behind.
And honestly, you would, with the go mode where it is, you're going to do Turtle Rock before you go there. So it's going to take some execution mistakes from Floyd to let Krithel catch up here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Floyd entering into Misery Mire at 136.07. We'll see how long it takes Krithel to get over there.
Krithell's at least a couple of minutes out because he's got the entirety of Laser Bridge and Trinex to get through. Floyd going to the bridge check to find out, is this the Godmire? If we get a big key here, this is the Godmire. We get a small key here.
Sadly, no.
If Spike Chest has it, it still could be Godmire. Otherwise, this is not a good mire. Hey, look! Go mode mire actually is feasible today.
Yeah, not that they have any choice about it. I don't think that there's really, unless you're looking for silver arrows, there's not any need to be looking around mired.
Yeah, pretty much. This is the fun dark room. So, McMonkey.
Yeah.
Have you ever won a race because you knew how to do the Misery Mire Dark Room before?
It's always tough to say what won you a race, but, I have done the Misery Mire Dark Room and won races in which I did.
I have actually won a race because I knew that dark room once. Once. I've never gotten that lucky again.
So I assume you chatted with your opponent afterwards to find out that they weren't willing to try it?
ladder. Yeah. Because you
So
always want to
Floyd
find out
breezing through that mire.
It was more the opponent asked me how I was able to do it. Floyd is already killing Vitreous with my favorite strat. Actually, it's not my favorite strategy. My favorite strategy is still Cane of Burn of dashing. Because I like lag, don't you?
Absolutely. And so in just a moment, we're going to get a game going. You want to set the table?
All right. With that kill, we are now at 7 crystals. There are 22 checks in Ganon's tower. One of those checks has our core item, the Ganon's Tower Big Key. Place your guesses in chat to determine for a chance to win the guessing game and get a place on our leaderboard. Or if you're Oro, to extend your lead.
Very real internet points are at stake here.
Mm-hmm. You know the drill. Internet points are more important than anything. So get your guesses in chat. I believe somebody's already started the game for us. I have not looked at chat. McMonkey,
Yep.
What do you think?
Well, I always go with 8 or 19. Today I'm going to go with the 19.
Oh, he's been mean. It's 22 every time. But I would prefer to see something like number 13. Because number 13, if you follow the general route of Hope Room left side, that puts the key right in Rando Room.
That's a pretty nice location.
Early enough that you get to see stuff happen, and late enough that you get enough. Early enough that you don't have to worry about doing Ice Armos or Tile Room, but late enough that you do have to commit to more than just the top half of the dungeon.
Yeah, interesting. Floyd choosing to go up the Super Bunny route, which is just a hair slower than going up to the TR portal.
I do like that our Go Mode dungeon was not Turtle Rock, so we have a little bit longer for the game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and if it were Tower of Hera as you had wished, it would have been a very short game.
I'll admit, I do wish it was Tower of Hera still, because that would have been amazing.
Yeah, as it turns out, they could have left Tower of Hera last.
No, they could not.
There was nothing.
No, they could not.
Oh, that's right. It was the Red Cane. Yeah, they absolutely needed
Had
that.
our Red Cane. And with Floyd in the dungeon, the Go Mode podcast Big Key Guessing game has ended. We will see who wins. Floyd going to Hope Room. Probably because he's hoping it's not anywhere else. Small key in chest number 1. Silver arrows in chest number 2.
That feels pretty nice. And Krithel about 3 minutes behind at this point, it looks like. So yeah, we'd need some mistakes. You know, maybe a Hail Mary Tile Room play. I like the way you think.
I have yet to see anyone do a Hail Mary Tile Room. I'll admit. What's funny is I make the Hail Mary Tile Room almost every time I play, so. Does it cost me races? Yes. Do I do it for the memes anyways? Yes.
I like the dedication.
Number 3 is the map. Number 4 is the heart container. Number 5 is 50 rupees. And number 6 is 10 arrows.
So right side's a bust so far.
Picking up the key and going left side. I have had the unfortunate luck of playing the triple dip GT game in cross keys before. 7 is a small key.
Oh no, and Krithel
Dies to Vitreous.
Down to Vitreous. He does have a fairy.
Krithel's doing NMG strats here.
Yeah, and it makes sense that he was so aggressive about doing the NMG strats with that fairy in his pocket.
I missed what number 8 was, but 9 is small key, 10 is bombs, and 11 is a heart container piece.
A Pizza Hut.
Pepperoni?
Pepperoni Pizza Huts are my favorite.
Now I'm hungry. Number 12 is a heart container.
Getting really fueled up for their agate and cannon fights here.
Fire Snake Room will be number 13.
Meanwhile, Krithel picking up his 7th crystal. He's making the race up to GT now.
Bonk.
Could save a little bit of time doing a full left play, although perhaps a tile room play might be the answer after all.
Number 13 is a heart container. There goes my favorite guess. 14 through let's try again. 14 through 17 is Rando Room. Heart piece. You know, that tile room's looking really good right now.
Yeah, much like the PED was going up in probability, so is the tile room.
Without the seeds gone, Vanilla Big Key?
Vanilla Big Key does seem right, although I'm hoping it's one away from the Vanilla Big Key so that my 19 pays off.
Number 19 would be Vanilla Big Key.
Is that right? Are we on 18?
Bob's just
You're right.
18.
Yeah. There we go. Let's go Vanilla Big Key.
Gotta wait a while to let Bob out of his hole.
Yeah, you can time that pot pickup to get him out of the hole a little bit sooner, but it's not that bad to tank the hit with all that heart.
These are our good friends, the Ice Armos, who are actually the only Armos fight we're getting this game.
Yeah, and those newly acquired silver arrows will make this a lot more friendly.
You say that, and yet Floyd misses 3 shots. Up, number 19 is 10 arrows, number 20 is 300 rupees, and the number 21, Big Key.
Oh, that's tough. And it looks like Krithel is going right side. He's going to, at best do the same route that Krithel did.
And Floyd begins his climb up against Tower.
And congratulations to McMonkey 819. Oh, that's me.
I was going to say, isn't that you?
Yeah, that's 2 races in a row that I have calmed and won the Big Key guessing game on. It is clearly not at all rigged.
Rigged. Rigged.
The one way Krithel could make up a little bit of time here is with a full right play. It's very unlikely. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do that in a race. But, it would save them a little bit of time in this instance. Nope, playing it by the book. Right side, over to the left side. It's going to be a while before they get their big keys, so Floyd will maintain his approximately 3-minute lead. And Butter Sword and Silvers is going to make easy work of this gauntlet.
This gauntlet, Landmola's, Moldworm, the pig. Yeah, our combat situation is we will cut through everything like it's nothing.
Right, which is not good news for Krithel, being a couple minutes behind at this point with the loadout that we have. Red Mail, Butter Sword, Silver Arrows, Half Magic. There's not a whole lot of chance of mistakes here. You can always get bumped off in Ganon. Nobody wishes for that. And it seems unlikely.
Even opponents don't wish for that.
No, yeah, you don't want to win because your opponent got bumped.
It feels bad. And that's coming from somebody who just last week won a race because their opponent fell off Ganon. I felt terrible.
Yep, I've been there. I did a race too late in the evening one night and managed to kill Ganon and stand too close to the bridge. It did not.
No,
I
that's
just muscle memory
worse.
walked off the edge when the jingle ended, and
That's worse.
yeah, lost the race by I think 15 seconds.
That's awful.
And that's why you don't do races past your bedtime, kids.
And that's why you stand in the center of the Triforce.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of my favorite things with the Samaria Wizrobe rooms is I learned that Wizrobe blasts can be moved by conveyor belts.
That's really interesting.
Granted, they're just coded as enemies, so...
Yeah, it makes sense that they would be subject to the same movement as any other enemy.
Does not get Jingle glitched because of good execution on the Torch Room. You do not want to get Jingle glitched.
Yeah, and that would have been the other way to even this race up a little bit, but Floyd dodging that one.
You would not expect that from these Gold Sword runners.
No, yeah, and it's pretty tight timing to get that jingle glitch.
I'll be honest, I might have been tempted to just drain my magic and fake powder the anti-fairy and money beam to get my health back.
Yeah, with the full magic pickup there, probably takes a little bit more time. At this point, these guys are, you're laser focused on get through the seed. You don't want to take the time to drain your magic.
The only reason I say it is because he was at like a sixth of his magic bar was all.
So on to Aga 2.
How good are you? How good are you at agonometry?
I think I am an average student, a C student in agonometry.
That looks like a single to me. That was definitely a single. Yep, single, triple. So that's going to be our fight with Aghanim down. Very cleanly fought by Floyd.
Yeah, those first couple patterns were pretty tough.
And then that easy triple.
So off we go to fight the pig.
Pig needs to lose some weight. He lands and he just creates a giant hole in the pyramid.
It'd be a much different fight if it were at the top of the pyramid.
I do love the hot air balloon trivia.
Yeah, I think they should expand the trivia again and gives out. Floyd's got to be a little bit careful here. I don't think he's sitting on another fairy. Only needs 6 slashes to get through each of phase 1 and 2, and he does so.
There's phase 3 started. Oh boy!
Meanwhile, the red Stalfos is giving Krithel all kinds of problems dodging around.
He does have a fairy on hand, actually. Alright, phase 4. We have silver arrows, courtesy of Ganon's Tower. We do miss the torch glitch, though, so...
Yeah, not so much a concern with the silvers.
Silverless hit! Floyd actually got the silverless hit on that, so...
That's impressive, not very useful. You need a couple of those to make up for a single silver arrow.
Yeah, but still, just kind of an impressive timing.
Just one more silver arrow will do it.
And get your GGs ready in chat for Floyd, the winner of this race, who will be moving on to the finals. Krithel will be moving on to the bronze match when they finish. Both of which are best of 3 players' choice brackets.
And GG to Floyd.
So, GG to Floyd. We'll see if we can get Floyd in here for an interview today.
Krithel making his way through the rest of Ganon's tower.
Doesn't need to open any of these chests. Has everything you could need.
So Floyd will await the results of the Shkupel versus Omega Toysk. Game 2 of that, I believe, is coming up tomorrow. We got Shkupel in the chat, he can confirm. $7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow will be Game 2 of the other semifinal match in the Gold Sword bracket.
I don't remember Shkupel. Is that being restreamed here on Goma Podcast?
Meanwhile, Krithel getting his agonometry fight in. He gets a single and a triple, it looked like, although two of those were pretty close together. It might have just been a double.
Oh no, that is not being rebroadcast tomorrow. So, but do watch Shkupel and Omega Tosk's match tomorrow on their streams, and I believe that is Floyd joining us here in the chat.
Hey,
GG,
thanks,
Floyd.
guys.
GG Floyd. What a seed!
Man, what a seed.
It definitely railroaded you into that South Dark World, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did. Man.
And
that whole
Krithel
time
dropping in on Ganon.
That whole time I was thinking, like, I'm leaving all these other bosses that have items, and that book showed up, and then it's like, great, that opens more.
And that's just the first book check.
Yeah, it just happens to be the first one.
So the first time you went through Village of Outcast, you decided to skip on Skullwoods and go do the Graveyard Ledge, Bumper Ledge, all those checks. What was the thinking on passing on Skullwoods that first time by?
I hate Skullwoods, and I hate doing Mothula. So there's 2 items in there. One's on Mothula, and there's lots open. I'd rather take my chances with the open stuff, but yeah, that's really it. I just don't like doing Mothula.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think, I don't even know I know we had Tempered at that time. And I think
Tempered and
like,
Green Mail.
Yeah, Green Mail. Well, like 6 hearts, no bottles. Or maybe
and
1 bottle.
Get your GGs in chat for Krithel, who I think finishing the Ganon fight. Is he too high?
Yeah,
Don't automatically walk up, please, Krithel.
About 4 minutes behind.
Right. And finishing a little under 4 minutes behind Floyd. We'll see if we can get Krithel in here for an interview as well. All right, apologies for interrupting you, Floyd.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Yeah, so another question was, you unlocked Pyramid Fairy after doing Pod and Ice Palace, and then immediately beelined to the Mire area and dipped into Pendant Desert Palace before doing the Pyramid Fairy. Were you just hoping that you had Mire access at that point?
I dipped that before I did Pyramid Fairy? I thought I dipped that after.
No, I think you checked the Mire area, then mirrored over and checked the one item in the front of Desert Palace.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because after doing that, I went to go see what the medallion was mainly, just to see if I was 2 items short or just a shot short.
I am going to apologize to both of you. I definitely commentators cursed that hook shot.
Oh man, that was a pretty bad hook shot.
Second seed in a row. Hookless Swamp.
Yep.
Vanilla hook shot, everybody.
That's right. Last game, it was Hookless Swamp that had boots and mitts on the left side.
What's interesting about that Swamp Palace, though, is it very nearly caught Krithel up. You had fallen behind. You had done a bunch of autologic checks that none of which paid off for you, and Floyd had built a little bit of a lead up to that point, and you caught all the way up. You both were in Swamp Palace at the same time. Unfortunately, then you having to do all of the same overworld checks that Floyd had already done heading into Swamp Palace. But for a moment there, it looked like you were going to be able to catch all the way up, but the seed did not play nice with you from that point.
Nope.
So are the out of logic checks something that you always try to do by rule? It seemed like you were pretty set on doing all of those that were available to you with the flipper checks and the magic bat play with the mushroom.
And that well done mimic clip.
The flipper checks, the ones up in Zora area was to try and avoid doing Aga. I mean, clearly the seed wanted us to do Aga with the amount of swords we had. But being able to skip that or make the first Dark World trip smoother is why I did those.
By amount of swords, you mean that Sphere Zero butter sword?
Yes. So, and then I kind of messed up my routing, but I was gonna the entire idea was to do purple chest into swamp, and I was gonna do magic bat on the way. So I just kind of messed that up and did magic bat first, which didn't make much sense, but
makes sense.
I don't think much else was out of logic except for pod, because I kind of messed up, and in my head I had the bottle as being flipper locked because I thought I'd got it from Waterfall Fairy, so I didn't go and do Sick Kid before Aghanim. So once I got into
that
pod,
explains that.
That was giving me time to work out what I'd missed, and then obviously when I got to Sick Kid, I kind of remembered. That was like Moldon, so mini Moldon. So
yeah, and that was another good point because it seemed like you were pretty intent on checking everything before committing to doing Aga versus Floyd, who made a relatively early Aga play.
A very aggressive one, actually.
Yeah, well, with it being Ambrosia and giving us, I had tempered by then, and I just figured, I mean, Moon Pearl and Lamp and temper, it's probably going to be Aga. And I also, I figured I'm a game ahead. I can gamble the early Aga. If it pays off, that's good. If it doesn't, and I lose it, I can force a game 3, but so.
Yeah, and it certainly paid off. That's where a lot of your lead came from, was that early Aga play.
I did the early Aga, and then I went and checked Eastern, and pod was bow locked, and I'm like, oh crap, it's not an Aga seed. I missed something. And then I got that hammer from the Sick Kid, and that led to South Shore, and I was like, oh, that's annoying Aga.
My reaction when that pod was bow locked was pretty good.
Yeah, because I was for sure Aga 1, you go into pod, and pod's got to have something, right?
I was very ready for that to be Power Gloves, and we got the most last location non-Aga seed ever.
Yeah.
All right, so another moment I enjoyed was the literally back-to-back glove items. But
yeah, that seed really, it briefly opened right up. It started to look like it was going to be a very linear jet seed. You got the gloves followed by the mitts, which allowed you to get access to a lot of crystal dungeons in a row.
And the boots.
Got you up the mountain where you got the bow, and it was starting to look like this was going to be a breeze, but now I'm seeing on Floyd's screen a 176 out of 216 collection rate that you guys checked most of the world.
Yep, I think I left Shovel, Armos, Ped, and Tile Room. Bombos. The only ones I've got in my head.
Yeah, not a whole lot, for sure.
Any final thoughts from the runners?
Good luck in the final.
Yeah, thanks GG for that. That was a good pair of races.
Yeah, anything, Krithel, you want to add about your just experience overall in the tournament?
I mean,
Well,
Crystal's not done yet.
Yeah, I've still got the 3rd, 4th place match, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, and we'll find out who your opponent is in a couple of days here.
I believe we'll find out tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow's game 2, so we could find out tomorrow, or it may be another game. If Omega can win tomorrow, then he'll force a game 3, and we'll see what happens there. But best of luck to both of you next week in your matches.
And good luck. Good luck with the runs, the practice as well. So.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys. Hard work putting the tournament on, restreaming. It's been real fun.
Absolutely, big thanks to the Restream crew.
Yep. Thank you to our tracker, Jere Dudecia, to our Restreamer Oro. And make sure you follow the Go Mode podcast here on Twitch. Turn on those notifications. There are some more restreams to go here in our penultimate week of play.
The next scheduled restream we have is at 1 a.m. Eastern for It's Otter versus Shaki.
That's very interesting.
I will not be commentating that. I will be in bed.
Yeah, for the night owls out there.
So, or the Europeans.
Could be, yeah.
But
and thank you, Zeke, for
thank you, McMonkey.
This was a great race, thanks to our runners. And if there's nothing else,
follow Floyd and Krithel. They have put in a lot of work to get this far.
Absolutely.
Everyone's put in a lot of work, actually. And please follow McMonkey, Jere, Dudecia, and Oro, who are the other members of the Restream crew today. Listen to the Go Mode podcast and come join us in Discord.
And with that, I'll wish you all a good evening.
And I guess follow me, but I don't do anything. But if you want to follow me and watch me do ladder races, feel free.
I sure will.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, chat. Thanks. Have a good night.